Ladies and gentlemen, close your eyes for a moment and imagine falling asleep in your warm, cozy bed, only to open your eyes and discover that you are no longer in the modern world of phones, cars, and streaming shows, but instead, you find yourself in the heart of medieval England. The world around you is unrecognizable. The air smells of wood smoke, damp earth, and something you can't quite place, probably the not-so-pleasant scent of people who haven't bathed in weeks. You stretch your arms and realize you're lying not on a mattress but on a rough straw bed, prickly, itchy, and possibly alive with fleas. Welcome to the Middle Ages, where every part of life is about survival, faith, and an order of society that you and I would find baffling today. What would it be like to wake up in such a world, one without the luxuries we take for granted? Let us walk through the experience, slowly, piece by piece, as if it were truly happening to you. The first shock would be the sounds. In modern life, you're used to the hum of electricity, the faint buzz of traffic, maybe the distant voice of a neighbor's television. In medieval England, you would wake up to the sound of roosters crowing at dawn, the clatter of pots, or the thud of an axe splitting wood. If you are in a village, you'll hear sheep bleating and pigs squealing. If you wake up in a town, the noise of carts on cobblestone streets, merchants calling, and church bells ringing through the cold air would dominate your morning. Everything would feel both alive and strangely loud, yet devoid of all the mechanical noises that we know so well. The silence of machines would make the clamor of people, animals, and church bells feel even sharper. Now, let's talk about food, because you will quickly feel hungry. There is no breakfast cereal, no toast with butter, no steaming cup of coffee to get you moving. If you are a peasant, your morning meal would likely be stale bread, maybe dipped in ale or weak pottage, which is a watery soup of oats or barley. Coffee and tea wouldn't appear in Europe for centuries. Your diet would consist largely of grains, vegetables, and whatever scraps you could manage from your small farm or from your lord's land. If you're lucky enough to belong to a wealthy household, you might enjoy bread made from white flour, honey, cheese, or preserved meats. But for most people, food is monotonous, repetitive, and always a concern. Hunger is a constant companion, especially in the harsh winters when crops fail. Imagine the weight of your stomach growling day after day while knowing there is little you can do but wait for the next harvest or the charity of others. Clothing is another shock. In our world, you throw on jeans, shirts, sneakers, comfortable, washable, and easily replaceable. In medieval England, you would dress in rough woolen garments, itchy and heavy. If you're poor, your tunic and hose are patched, stained, and smell faintly of sweat and smoke. Shoes might be crude leather or none at all. Washing clothes is laborious and rarely done, so garments are worn again and again until they practically fall apart. Wealthy individuals dress more colorfully, with brighter dyes and finer fabrics like linen or even imported silk, but these are luxuries you would likely never see up close unless you found yourself in the presence of nobility. Hygiene is something you would miss immediately. Forget hot showers. Forget toothbrushes, deodorant, and shampoo. People bathed rarely, sometimes only once or twice a year. Instead, they relied on perfumes, herbs, and prayers to cover the smell. Imagine walking through a narrow medieval street, the mud mixed with animal dung, chamber pots emptied from windows, and butchers throwing waste into the gutters. The stench alone might make you question if you are dreaming or if you've fallen into a nightmare. Disease thrives in such conditions, and you would quickly realize that in this world, illness is everywhere. Small cuts can fester, fevers can kill, and the dreaded plague could sweep through at any time. Without antibiotics or modern medicine, survival often feels like a lottery of luck. And what about your role in society? Medieval England was a place of strict hierarchy. If you woke up as a peasant, which is statistically most likely, you would live under the authority of a local lord. Your days would be spent farming the land, tending animals, or performing manual labor. Life is harsh, and your freedom is limited. You cannot simply move to another place without permission. The concept of career choices does not exist. Your destiny is largely fixed by birth. A very few, like monks or soldiers, might find paths to different lives, but most remain tied to the soil. If, by chance, you woke up as a noble, your life would look very different, managing estates, training in combat, enjoying feasts, but still bound by duty to your king, your land, and your faith. Yet even nobles were not free of danger, as wars, rivalries, and betrayals could easily claim their lives. Religion dominates your existence in medieval England. The church is everywhere, physically, spiritually, and socially. Bells call you to prayer, priests deliver sermons in Latin that you likely don't understand, and festivals mark the calendar. Every event in your life, from birth to death, is tied to the church: baptism, marriage, burial. The fear of sin, hell, and purgatory shapes your thoughts. Even daily routines revolve around religious observance, with fasting periods, saints' days, and confessions. Whether you are a believer or not, in this world, religion is not a choice. It is the rhythm of life. Education is another point of shock. If you can read and write in medieval England, you are part of a tiny minority. Most peasants never learn to read. Knowledge is preserved in monasteries, written in Latin, inaccessible to the average person. Imagine the frustration of seeing books and scrolls filled with secrets but having no way to understand them. The idea of picking up a novel or browsing the internet is impossible here. Oral storytelling, ballads, and traditions keep history and entertainment alive. People gather around fires to hear tales of King Arthur or biblical parables rather than flipping on a television. Entertainment itself is strange compared to our modern distractions. There is no cinema, no TikTok, no music streaming. Instead, you would find joy in fairs, markets, and festivals. Traveling musicians, jesters, or minstrels might pass through to entertain. Games are simple: dice, board games like Nine Men's Morris, or rough sports that resemble early forms of football. At night, storytelling, singing, and dancing by firelight would bring moments of escape from the hardship of daily work. Now imagine the landscape around you. If you wake in a small village, thatched cottages cluster together, surrounded by fields divided into strips farmed by peasants. Forests stretch beyond, filled with wolves, boars, and bandits. If you find yourself in a town, narrow streets twist and turn, filled with shops, workshops, and the looming shadow of a castle or cathedral. Castles, with their stone walls and moats, are not fairy tale places of romance but fortresses built for defense. Inside, life is cold, drafty, and crowded, with smoke from fires lingering in the air. Cathedrals, by contrast, rise like giants, with stained glass windows and vaulted ceilings that make you feel small, overwhelmed by the presence of something greater. Work consumes your days. Imagine rising with the sun, bending your back in the fields, sowing seeds, reaping crops, hauling water, grinding grain. Tools are basic: plows drawn by oxen, wooden spades, sickles, and scythes. The work is relentless, the payoffs uncertain. Weather could destroy your efforts in a moment, and famine is a constant threat. For craftsmen, work means long hours in dark workshops, shaping wood, leather, or iron, producing goods by hand. For women, life means endless labor too: cooking, weaving, spinning, tending children, and helping in the fields. There is no concept of leisure time, as we know it. Life is simply work punctuated by religious holidays or local festivals. Law and order are very different here. Justice is brutal, swift, and often public. Imagine standing in the town square, watching someone placed in the stocks, pelted with rotten vegetables for stealing. More serious crimes could lead to execution, hanging, beheading, or even burning. Trials might involve ordeals, such as plunging a hand into boiling water to see if God protects the accused. Fear of punishment and the power of the local lord keep most people obedient, though rebellion occasionally sparks when desperation grows too great. Travel is rare and dangerous. The idea of hopping on a bus or train is unimaginable. If you want to move from one town to another, you walk, ride a horse if you are fortunate, or travel in a cart. Roads are muddy, poorly maintained, and full of risks: bandits, wild animals, and disease. Yet for those who do travel, such as merchants, pilgrims, or soldiers, the world opens up in ways unimaginable to most peasants. Pilgrimages to holy sites, fairs in distant towns, and even wars in foreign lands bring glimpses of a larger world beyond your small village. Speaking of wars, waking up in medieval England means waking up in a time when violence is never far away. Whether it is skirmishes between lords, raids from foreign invaders, or the grand wars between England and France, conflict is part of life. Soldiers train with swords, bows, and crossbows. Villagers fear raids and conscription. The clash of steel, the roar of horses, the scream of the wounded, it is not a distant television drama but a reality you might one day face. As night falls, the medieval world becomes even stranger. Without electric lights, the darkness is absolute. Candles and torches flicker, casting long shadows. Fear of spirits, witches, and demons fills the imagination. Superstition is strong. People avoid traveling at night, believing the devil himself roams the roads. You would lie again on your straw bed, exhausted, perhaps itching from fleas, listening to the crackle of fire and the distant howl of a wolf, realizing that you are utterly vulnerable in a world where safety is never guaranteed. So what if you woke up in medieval England? You would be plunged into a world of hardship and simplicity, where every day is about survival. Hunger, disease, work, and faith shape every moment. The luxuries you take for granted, warm baths, medicine, electricity, freedom of choice, do not exist. Yet within this struggle, there is also community, tradition, and resilience. People find joy in song, in shared meals, in festivals, and in the belief that their suffering has meaning within a divine plan. You might not last long by modern standards, but in their world, life carried on with a strength and determination that is humbling. And so, as you drift to sleep tonight in your clean bed, with the hum of technology around you, imagine just for a moment what it would feel like to wake up in medieval England, to smell the smoke, hear the bells, feel the cold, and live the life of someone whose world was unimaginably different from ours. The past may be boring history for sleep, but once you step into it, you realize how fragile, how fleeting, and how precious your own modern comforts truly are.